In this part of the journey, I will cross solo Wadi DIssah and then spend some time in AlArula, the most notable site for the Dedan and the Nabatean presence in Arabia. My friend has just made an amazing cappuccino, so ready to go. On the way, I ran into a funny family of donkeys grazing along the road, then a Bedouin sheep market. Here in my background you can see a cattle market. The Bedouins are selling their sheep. This behind me should be a Nabatean burial ground, but unfortunately it's fenced off and locked. But the place definitely is worth it. The road towards Wadi DIssah is beautiful and deserted, with the exception of a young boy riding a camel at base. Entering the southern part of Wadi DIssah, one is greeted by the refreshing view of the plentiful date plantations, which thrive thanks to the shade and the abundance of water. I stop to admire the scenery, and suddenly, from the distance, I see the young boy on the camel striding towards me. He stops to greet me and then sets off again. As I move on leaving the farms behind, I worry about the soft sand, but I've aired down the tires, and in any case I have plenty of recovery gear to get myself out of trouble. Soon I am immersed in the vegetation as I follow the bends of the canyon. I then run into a small stream and plentiful bamboos, which brush against the side of my car as I push through. As I reach the northern end of the wadi, the scenery becomes once again dry and arid. We have just completed the solo crossing of Wadi DIssah. Now we're back on the tarmac, and it's time to air up and head to AlArula. Airing up the tires once you hit the tarmac is essential, and for this purpose I always carry with me a small compressor powered by the car battery. I soon find myself climbing up a steep road across the mountains. We've now reached the top of the mountain pass. On my back you can see the valley where is Wadi DIssah, and on the other side of the mountains we shall drop onto the main road to AlArula. On the main road I run into a truck carrying camels and some more donkeys. Been invited for coffee.
Welcome.
Some good Arabic coffee. This is a heritage museum. It's run by the people here, and we can see stuff from their traditional life and all the certification. I've been invited for lunch, but since I'm on a tight schedule, they let me go provided I accept the gift of a box of dates. This is Saudi Arabian hospitality at its best. As I descend from the mountains, I make my way towards AlArula, where I arrive at sunset. We're now in the city of AlArula. This one behind me is what remains of an old caravanserai. Here the fence seems to be broken. Okay, we're in. Let's have a look. AlArula used to be an important stop along the trade routes from the ports in Yemen to the Mediterranean. Caravans used to stop in places like this, usually distanced a day's travel from each other. Here, the merchants would find shelter and protection for the night. We can still see a beautiful wind-powered well, and I'm fascinated by the sight of these abandoned vintage vehicles. As the sun sets, I reach my shelter for the night in a nearby resort. Today I'm starting the tour by heading to the mountains that oversee the valley of AlArula. From here, it is immediately obvious why this landscape has played an important role in the history of Saudi Arabia, This narrow valley, rich in water, represented the main access point for merchant caravans traveling along the Incense Road towards the north. The old village is closed to visits because of renovation, but have been granted access. The narrow streets of the village provided shade from the scorching heat and, in the cold winter nights, sheltered the inhabitants from the winds. Their width and tight corners had also a defensive purpose, slowing down attackers and providing the opportunity for ambushes. The fortress was built on a steep rock by the Romans in the 1st century after Christ. From here, one can get a feel of the strategic importance of this location, as it gave a clear view across the whole valley. Let me introduce my guide,
Mohammed. Tour guide in AlArula. And this is my colleague Abdulaziz Al-Gomzi. He's a tour guide also in AlArula.
Mohammed shows me some beautiful petroglyphs, including lots of anthropomorphic figures, war chariots, and animals. I then have to climb the cliff's face to reach some other rock carvings. I can see beautiful drawings of hunters with bows and a variety of animals, including numerous ostriches. Next stop is a car ride through the narrow canyons filled with sand in an area called Jibla Ruka, where we reach a beautiful formation they call the Dancing Rocks. I follow his car between the boulders and within the narrow gorges. The scenery is amazing, and the driving on the soft sand is really fun. Finally, we run into a large family that is preparing a sheep to roast for lunch. And of course, they invite us to stop to eat. Unfortunately, we are pressed with time and we move on. Still in AlArula, this is the site of the city of Dedan, capital of the North Arabian kingdom of Liyan, which ruled this region from the 5th to the 2nd century before Christ. The southern part of the site hosts the Lion Tomb, but unfortunately, we can now only see it from a distance. Now we're going to visit the ancient city of Dedan. In the north of the site, we see still from a distance the dwellings carved into the rock face. The view over the date plantations is beautiful and refreshing, and in the distance, we catch a glimpse of an ancient well. This is the place they call Elephant Rock, and it's obvious by the shape of the mountain behind me. I will probably come and camp over here tonight. I'm now in Madin Saleh, the last location to visit in this busy day. The first point of interest is the old Ottoman station of AlArula, one of the major stops along the railway between Damascus and Medina.
Welcome to Hijra. This is the first UNESCO site in Saudi Arabia.
This region was inhabited since the prehistory, but it became rich and prosperous with the kingdom of Liyan, and it was then conquered by the Nabateans in 100 before Christ. And we start the visit of the Nabatean settlement with this beautiful council hall, dug into the limestone rock face. We then move to the site of the tombs carved in the rock. They have the same typical architectural style that I saw in Al-Bad. There is also a pit in front of the tomb. It was probably used for the ritual washing and preparation of the corpses before burial. And of course, we cannot finish a trip in AlArula without seeing the Lonely Giant. This last attraction of the tour stuns me with its magnificence, as it glows in shades of orange with the sunset light. It is now time to go and set up camp for the night by the Elephant Rock.